We are live at Heinz Field. Behind us, we have, in my opinion, we're probably going to get some hate for this because I know as Chiefs fans, you think Arrowhead's the greatest place in the world. I'm impartial, and I really like this stadium right behind us with the rivers and the bridges. And us that is standing in front of that stadium, I have Sam Mellinger right beside me and Lynn Worthy on the other side of me. We've got Blair Kerkhoff manning the iPad and your comments, so keep it clean, don't scar Blair's eyes. And then Vahe Gregorian will join us if he can find wherever we are set up when he's done filing his column. So
Hollywood will be here in a few minutes. That's right. He's got to make his grand entrance.
We can't actually start a video with all 5 people in the frame, right, so we like to keep you guys guessing about who's going to show up. But enough about us. Let's talk about what you guys are tuned in for to see what we think about the Chiefs' 42-37 win against the Steelers. And I think the place that it will start, the place that it started for everyone talking about during the game is Patrick Mahomes and his 6 touchdowns. So as our noted Patrick Mahomes enthusiast of the group, who did not write about Patrick Mahomes today, and the biggest plot twist, you'll have to wait for Vahe's words on that. But Sam, what do you take away from this performance today?
Well, obviously the words Patrick and Mahomes did appear in my column a couple times. I'm not gonna completely lie about that. But a lot of things about what he did. The efficiency. How many times do you see a guy throw more touchdown passes than incomplete passes? That's a thing that happened today. He did not have the 70-yard bomb to Tyreek Hill in Atlanta. He didn't have.
He tried.
He didn't have that sidearm fastball. There was the DeMarcus Robinson against the sideline throw. He didn't have any of that. But this was the best game that he's played. This was incredible. He didn't miss really that 90. It would have been a 99-yard touchdown, and he did overthrow him, and that was it. Right? As far as any a bad decision or a bad
He had the one fumble, but he fell on it.
That's true, yeah.
When he said he got kind of anxious about that, but he felt the ball in his stomach, and he just kind of laid down and was like, I'm not going to let anybody take this from me.
So, Lynn, what is Patrick Mahomes' favorite word?
Efficient.
And how efficient was he today? I mean, that was what this was. That was an incredibly efficient performance.
And as you talk about, he didn't have the big, gaudy throw, the big, 70-yard bomb or anything like that. But to me, some of those passes, particularly some of those ones to Kelsey in the middle of the field, where he's thrown into some tight windows, those were as impressive as some of the big passes that we've seen from him.
They were anticipation windows.
Anticipation
windows
before
the windows open, but the windows going to be there.
You know, in front of safeties, behind linebackers, in those tight little areas where if you lead them too far, or if you it's off to the right or the left, and it's probably picked or it's knocked down, or Kelsey's getting laid out. Yeah. And it was on the money every time, it seemed like. Yeah. And that was impressive to me.
And it seems like those are things that we've kind of seen him developing. I think the first time we saw it was in Atlanta when he hit, I think it was Kelsey, kind of anticipated the route that he was going to do. And today it just kind of felt like another evolution, another step in that process. And speaking of Travis Kelce, he hasn't had really great games against the Steelers in the past, but today he has 7 receptions for 109 yards and 2 touchdowns. So if you started him on your fantasy team, congrats, you probably won. I thought that he had the best game that he's had all season, all 2 games that they've played. Did either one of you guys talk to Kelsey in the locker room?
Yeah. He was enthusiastic. I mean, he was pumped. It's funny, when he starts talking, sometimes you can see the words kind of get away from him a little bit,
He just gets so excited, he doesn't know what to say.
Yeah. He was kind of in that mode too. And one point that he made, and I'm glad he made it, it's a good point that we should make here too, is the offensive line did really well against that. That's not an easy front to block, and they kept Mahomes really clean. He got clobbered twice.
Was it the second quarter that things kind of went off the rails?
But mostly, they were really good against a team that's confusing and how they disguise things. Some of that goes to Pat for getting the protections right and all that, but the offensive line did a really good job too.
And I think, you're right. I think one of the biggest stories of this game was the way that it started. Chiefs go up 21-0 right out of the gate, and we were all kind of laughing, what in the world is going on out there?
Joke. Yeah.
And then all of a sudden it swings 21 points the other way, kind of turns on Orlando Scandrick's holding call on what would have been a fumble recovery by Chris Jones, touchdown. We'll get into the defense in a little bit, but second quarter, things fall apart. The offensive line, that was its shakiest when there were 2 false starts on each of those drives. Duvernay-Tardif with the first one, Eric Fisher with the second one, and it just kind of killed any momentum that they had, and I think that was a huge killer. And then second half, I mean, clearly good things happen for the Chiefs. Patrick Mahomes comes back and does what he does. Another integral part of the offense today, didn't have a touchdown, but Sammy Watkins, I felt like this was kind of the game that we've been waiting to see him have after the way that he said, I'm trying to learn, and every single week it feels like he's getting questions or Andy's getting questions of, hey, when's this guy going to be involved? Because we're spending a lot of money on him just to have like one catch is kind of a lot. So what did you guys think about what Sammy did?
I mean, it's funny we start talking about Travis and Sammy, and it was last week where combined they had 27 yards, I think it was. It was like 3 catches, 27 yards. And both of them went over 100 today. I mean, and funny enough, it was, Tyreek Hill was the one who didn't even get a target until the second half because these guys were carrying the load. I mean, it was just... And it was, I think we talked about it last week during the Facebook Live post game about how's it going to be or how these guys are going to handle the games where they don't really get involved. And almost on cue, Hill has the big week last week, Sammy and Travis this week. So I guess that means Kareem's probably due next week. Something like that.
Rotate around.
Was this something that Blair, our big traveler here, Blair, picked up on like right away, is that there's no way, and I wholly endorse this, is there's no way you can convince me that Andy Reid does not have a purpose with some of those early play calls. Because Kelsey and Watkins have been 2 guys that, Kelsey last week, and Watkins like all through the preseason, kind of garbage,
Yeah.
And got them going early, like with some stuff you could tell was designed for them. And there were a couple times, look, like Tyreek Hill didn't have a target in the first half, like you said, but there were a couple times he was close. There was one in particular, he was deep on the left side. It would have been on the top of your screen if you're watching at home. And Pat was like kind of cocked back and he was ready to go, but the rush came too quick. I mean, there were opportunities there, but there's just no way that I'll ever be convinced that Andy Reid, when he's drawing up the script and all that stuff, that he didn't think, get Kelsey going early, get Watkins going early, and they did it beautifully.
I think one of the interesting things talking to Sammy Watkins after the game about what got him going, it wasn't a catch that he felt really energized by. It was that 31-yard rush. Yeah. It's only his 4th career rush, as Blair noted during the game. And the first one that he's had in like 3 years or something. So, and he said, yeah, after I did that, the butterflies went away and I felt like I settled in. So maybe he needs to line up in the backfield more, who knows?
Well, I think that was one of those things that Andy talked about when we asked him about about those shovel passes and this obviously wasn't a shovel pass, but it was similar. And he said it's one of those things where you can get everybody involved. And I think he phrased it as in the running game, but basically, like whether it's, DeAnthony Thomas, Tyreek Hill, Sammy, those jet sweeps, those different variations, gets everybody involved in the offense without having to sort of script out how you're going to throw the ball to them. And obviously some of that's dictated by coverage. This is a way you can be sure somebody gets the ball and gets going early.
Yeah, and I mean, I think that this kind of offensive output is what we heard about all through training camp, all through the preseason. Hey, we want to get everybody involved. We want to, spread the wealth. And I think we all kind of question, how is that going to go down? I mean, we're not saying that these guys are divas by any means, but these are guys that are used to being kind of highlighted players, and now you're asking them to all kind of be in a chorus. And today's an example of how it works. I mean, he threw 6 touchdowns, 5 different people, had 7 different targets total. I mean, that's the way that you kind of spread the wealth. In the run game, Kareem Hunt's still the featured back. Spencer Ware ended up having a carry, but it seemed like this is what when Brett Veach is putting together this team and they're trying to figure out all the puzzle pieces, this is what they were envisioning that whole time.
I haven't thought about this before this moment, so this is probably something that I shouldn't say out loud until I think about it a little bit
while
more.
We're live on the internet.
But I wonder if that whole mouths to feed thing, if it's made easier because of money. And what I mean by that is Sammy Watkins has been paid. Travis Kelce's he's on his contract extension. He'll be paid again. The only one that really hasn't, and Kareem Hunt is a ways away. The only one that's kind of in a contract year, because they'll talk about an extension after the season, is Tyreek Hill. And everybody knows he's a star. He's going to get $18 million a year or whatever. That's going to be a big number. So it's not, I don't know, maybe I need to think about this a little bit more. But it's just something, sometimes money, they're business decisions, right? They're humans. and they don't have that part of it. I wonder if that makes it a little bit easier to
I
do.
think it definitely factors in.
Well, it's also one of those things where it brings sort of to forefront why having such a young quarterback is important, because you can get away with spreading the money other places when you have a guy, as opposed to if they had to spend all that money on Alex or another big-name quarterback, you know? I mean, you look around the league, and I think, was it Baltimore had that situation where after the Super Bowl, they paid Joe Flacco all this money, and then that cuts down what you can do around him. Whereas right now, where you've got young guys, not just, I mean, obviously Hunt, but then also, you know, Mahomes, then you can spend, I mean, you may be able to spend money on some of these guys and keep Tyreek and all these guys together, in theory, without having to break the bank or to lose and to cut corners other places. So, I mean, I think it just sort of goes to show why that decision, you know, could set them up for a long term, potentially.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I think these are both really good points. I wanted to talk about D'Anthony Thomas. I think you mentioned him a second ago. And he didn't have a catch today, but he did get this game started off on, felt like it was Tyreek Hill all over again, but he fielded the punt, the opening, was it a kickoff or a punt? It was a punt.
Punt.
Right, yeah. Punt return. Fielded it, about 10 yards in front of Tyreek Hill, and took it up the sideline, fumbled it, caught it, and then, I mean, set him up at I think the 10 to start out. And without that play, I mean, I don't know if you end up getting off to as fast a start, because that just seemed like set the momentum right then and there, set kind of the tone for that first quarter, and it just went bonkers. Second week in a row, yeah.
He also had, third quarter, I think, a really big special teams tackle on a punt return. It looked like the Steelers returner, I can't think of his name right now, had a big hole and could have gone for a lot of yards. And D'Anthony Thomas kind of came out of nowhere and made a really nice, solid tackle. And he was the one, correct me if I'm wrong, did he force the fumble?
Yeah, he forced the fumble last week. I mean, he's just making Dave Toub look like genius, because it was before, I think, the last preseason game. Toub talked about he was important because of the things he could do on special teams. And then as soon as the season starts, boom, there he is with, you know, punt returns or, you know, fumble, causing fumbles. I mean, that fumble, I mean, if people forget, that changed that entire complexion of the game last week, because it gift wrapped a touchdown when the offense struggled mightily in the fourth quarter. And now, obviously, this week, he sets the offense up for their first score and makes another big tackle like you were talking about.
I mean, special teams in general, Justin Colquitt has 2 punts for 50 average of 50 yards. Got drilled on that last one, but he wasn't included in Andy Reid's kind of injury breakdown, which I think is a good sign if you're the Chiefs.
Well,
talk to Colquitt after the game to ask about tonight?
I think I saw him standing upright in the locker room, so that's a positive sign.
The offensive line was giving him some credit, giving some love, because of I was talking to them about the fourth quarter and sort of closing it out, which they failed to do last week, and that was one of the things that guys had talked about. And I talked to Mitch Morris and Mitchell Schwartz, and they both said him getting that last play to let them close it out was sort of, obviously they would have liked to close it out themselves, but I think Morris was the one who said, Dustin took one for us to help us finish that off. So he got a little love from the O-line.
Hey, it's Blair Kerkhoff, and if you're listening to this, you love Kansas City sports, whether it's the Chiefs, Royals, Sporting, Mizzou, KU, or K-State. And no one covers these teams like the Kansas City Star. If you currently subscribe to the paper or have a digital subscription, thank you for your support. And if you don't, here's a great offer. It's called Sports Pass, unlimited digital access to every sports story and video on kansascity.com. And it's just $30 for the first year. It's the best sports value in town, just 8 cents a day or $2.50 a month. You can't beat that. Subscribe now at kansascity.com/sportspass.
Well, we've gone over the highlights of this game, which means now I guess we should probably go over the defense, which looked really good to start. That first quarter I thought looked really good. They start with 2 3-and-outs, They really kept the Steelers on their heels. And then the second quarter happens, and everything seemed like it kind of turned at the end of the first quarter with Orlando Scandrick's holding penalty that negated, like we said, Justin Houston killed it to get to sack Big Ben and then to force a fumble. Chris Jones scoops it up, scores. I'm still not entirely sure how that ended up in the end zone because it just happened so quickly. But it didn't even matter because that holding penalty's called, and that kind of fueled the Steelers' first touchdown drive. And then after that, they ended up with 3 touchdowns total in the second quarter. So I know, Sam, that the defense keeps you up at night. What about this game is going to give you nightmares?
The defense, among many other things. Orlando Scandrick had a terrible day. Not just the penalty you just talked about. There was at least one other play where he got penalized and gave up the catch, which is not what you want to do when you're a defender.
Man, if you're going to commit a penalty, make it count.
Yeah, exactly. That was a rough go for him. Part of me wonders if the offense really, and not this good, right? Like, Patrick Mahomes is not going to throw, what would this be, 80 touchdowns this season? I would take the under on that. But if the offense is scoring similarly to this, the standard, the expectation, the need for the defense comes down a little bit. All you need is a stop or two. All you need is a big play or two. And maybe that's the way. Maybe Patrick Mahomes can be like the Chiefs' third best defender too, like behind, Chris Jones and Justin Houston, if he can be, and Kendall Fuller, I guess, if he can be the guy that makes giving up 37 points kind of a winning effort.
Yeah, I think that you're onto something there because the secondary, again, today, like you said, Orlando Scandrick didn't have a great game. Steven Nelson, I didn't think, had a very good game.
Yeah.
Kendall Fuller was a little suspect in a couple of things. Like, he gave up a touchdown when he fell down and he got back up, but he never really recovered. Steven Nelson looked like he had an interception, then flagged for the PI. I'll admit I haven't seen Andy Reid on the sideline very often, but that's the angriest I've seen him when he ripped his headset off and kind of threw it at the officials, but luckily it was strapped in, so it didn't actually hit them in the face. Yeah. Would have been hilarious, also really, really bad.
One thing I liked about that, too, though, is I thought it was a penalty. Like, that kind of penalty has been, not flagged before, but it's certainly been flagged. He grabbed, say, Antonio Brown, right? He grabbed his shoulder pad, impeded the route, all that stuff. But what I liked is, after the game, Andy was kind of like, my bad. That was a penalty. Totally, wore it. I think there's, it's easy for us to sort of, get our pride and double down or whatever, but I don't know. I like that.
I think also though, if the Chiefs had lost, we probably wouldn't have got that nonchalant. You win some, you lose some.
Right,
I was right on the challenge. They were right on the PI. I think it would have been a little bit more of a hostile tone. Speaking of hostile, Vahe is now joined us.
I knew you were going to pivot on that.
Just right there.
I'm trying to look tall, by the way, so
Do you want to hook your mic in, or are you gonna?
Well, I'll reveal how clumsy I am, but if I continue to try to hook this, I may need Lynn.
And heaven forbid the internet see that. This is it in action. Poetry in motion is what we have going on right now.
What were you going to ask while Lynn preps me?
I was going to ask what you thought about the defense tonight. I know you wrote about the offense and Patrick Mahomes. We were just talking about the secondary's woeful performance.
Secondary is as frightening as we thought it was, really, is it not? And the thing that's really funny about both these games, there's been these sort of strange mirage type of things where okay, you go through this period where it looks like they had a really good half or a good first quarter against the Chargers, but if you really diagnosed it, maybe they didn't have that good a first quarter because it was about the execution by the Chargers, not stuff they disrupted. And here today, a little bit of that too. Good first quarter. How much of that was the defense stopping them? I don't know. They were a little salty against the run, it seemed like, which helped.
The run today.
But only 33 yards.
If you're an opponent right now, aren't you just going to throw?
Well,
452 passing yards is
I do think they were good against the run in the first quarter. But the big difference was the Steelers just said the heck with the run after that. They literally said, and then there were times, especially in that second quarter, they really stretched them across the field. They lined up lots of times where they either didn't have a running back on the field or split them out wide, empty sets, and just literally pushed it to the limit and said, we're going to make you guys cover in space, and we don't think you have enough guys to do that, or we'll find a weak spot. And then on top of that, the other thing was, when we talk about the secondary, I think we also have to put in there the fact that they didn't get to the quarterback allowed Big Ben to do what he does and extend plays. And nobody's covering that long. I mean, their secondary is showing issues with coverage, but nobody's covering that long with some of the plays they extended for 5-6 seconds.
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, it's also particularly one of those games where you really look forward to sitting down and looking at each play again, because you look, it would have been, you guys probably went over this already, but it's 28-0 if not for that call on
Right.
Scandrick. That's a defensive touchdown. It all looks different. I don't know if that call was legit. Did we have any sense of anybody addressing that?
No, I don't
afterwards?
think we ever even saw a replay.
Replay wasn't available according to Twitter. On the whole.
Yeah, we couldn't.
Which
and we
is a
couldn't
shame
find
for
it at
such
all.
a big momentum-changing play.
It was, and so how different do you feel about it if that happens? How different do you feel about who you blame for what? If Steve Nelson on the blitz tackles Roethlisberger instead of bouncing off him, and the penalties. The penalties are generally speaking coming from getting beaten.
Yeah.
So, but you really would like to look at each of these things and ask yourself, in each case, why? Why did it break down? And
How long are quarterbacks expected to defend when there's no pass rush, when Roethlisberger has
Right.
the
Yeah.
damage he had?
by the way, did we talk about Justin Houston yet?
We have not. We talked a little bit about the forced fumble that he had, but
And he had two nice stops near the
Yeah.
end that I thought were maybe going to bail them out of that late touchdown. But I also thought I just see him walking back to the line of scrimmage. I feel like he's exhausted, hurt, or something. Almost after every play, had to come out a couple times again. I know you wrote the other day about he played 77% of the snaps
Something like
last
that.
week.
It would have been his second lowest total of the year last year. And
Is that right?
And there was only one. It was Dallas, and he was like 74%. Look, he's still playing most of the snaps, but he's just not. He used to be this like every down, 99% of the snaps force of nature, and that's
Like blowing up plays.
that looks like it's done. If this is how it is, week one. There was one little clip last week. It was actually the play where D Ford chased Phil Rivers to the sideline, and you could kind of see Justin like almost like limping after that play. And I just kind of think, like, God, if this is week one and now week two, and look, I thought he was a little bit more disruptive, for lack of a better term, today than he was last week. But this is very much it's going to have to be a pass rush by committee.
Yeah, and if you take obviously that one play, the Scandrick play wipes out the sack. They didn't have a sack. Their first sack came after pass attempt like number 50. Like literally, the Steelers dropped back through
the Allen
50
Bailey?
passes. Yes,
Yeah.
Alan Bailey,
hell of a
and that was a hell of a sack. Yeah,
Grown
it
man
was.
sack
But they
is
threw the
what
ball
that
50
was.
times before they got to him.
Right.
Before they officially got to him
Yeah.
because of the Scandrick play.
Yeah.
I
Like, that's-
also, I hate to blame play on the weather, but I think that it bears mentioning it was like 100 degrees in
Yes.
LA last week. Today it was not cool. I don't know what it was outside. It was negative 50 in the press box, but I think outside it was somewhere closer between 80, 90, hotter on the turf. So, like you said, you don't want to see Justin Houston, limping, having to come out of the game early, but you wonder how much of that's factoring into it when you're getting, you've played so much already, you're exhausted, and then you factor the heat into it. I think that's part of it.
I mean, of course, the other side of that is the saying everybody would go to is it's hot for the other team too. It's hot for D Ford who was getting to the quarterback. It's hot. I mean, so yes, but at the same time, everybody's playing in the same situation, right?
What did we see from rookies today? Kind of not an impact game.
No.
Didn't notice Noddy
I'm having to
much.
look at the
I remember
the
one
times
time Noddy was like one of the people who almost got to the quarterback, but other than that, that's the only thing I remember.
Times I noticed Speaks, it wasn't good.
No, he didn't have a great game. I'm trying to think of
Field and
Watts had some
He had
special
a nice
team
player
tackles.
too.
and-
Yeah, I do remember
some
that.
packages.
Uh-huh.
I think saw Trayvon Smith on the field too. And some
I'm pretty sure when I saw Tremont Smith, that also wasn't a good thing.
Yeah, well, it was when they Steelers spread everything out and they forced more defensive backs onto the field, and that's when they were piling up points too. So.
You know what I thought was interesting, who I didn't expect to see a lot of, was Terrence Smith today.
Yeah.
And I felt like every time I looked up, he was doing something, whether it was good or bad. But what do you guys make of that? How effective was he today?
He had a hell of a play.
No.
Go ahead.
I think it was a play. Did he get called for interference on this sideline?
He had a bad one too.
That was the play I was thinking of. But again, I want to look back at that play. I guess it was interference, but it was good coverage until he interfered.
Didn't he have a big pass breakup? Is that what you were talking about? Was that one where he broke up a pass?
No, it was a tackle. It was a diagnosis and a tackle, I think, on a screen play or something like that.
Ragland went out
There was
for
a
a series or two.
yeah.
Stinger. Yeah, Ragland had a stinger.
And then I think that's when it happened. And Terrence Smith had a really nice, like almost like the Hitchens play last week, and not exactly like that, but it was a really nice like diagnosis and tackle. He also like these linebackers, they're not real good in coverage. That's going to be a thing I think this year. Is like offensive coordinators, sort of isolating the Chiefs linebackers against running backs in coverage, and it's not going to be a good
I think that's where he got on the field a little bit too, is because when they went literally empty, and I think they put in Switzer, right? Was that the sort of the, they put him out there, and I think they pulled Connor off the field, put Switzer out there, and literally said, "You guys are going to have to cover in space." And I think that's when the Chiefs sort of countered by saying, "Okay." They put different linebackers in there because they didn't like that matchup, whether it was going to be Hitchens and Ragland having to cover one of those guys out there. But.
Well, Blair, what other questions do we have from our fearless listeners, watchers, viewers?
Should the defense take more risks if the offense is going to score 40 points a game?
I'll repeat that so that way, because you're not mic'd up, but we probably should start miking you up as the behind-the-scenes person. But the question is, should the defense take more risks if the offense is going to score, just tons of points during a game? I think they should take risks because what they're doing right now isn't working, but what do you guys think?
One of my biggest frustrations last year was the either refusal or inability to manufacture a pass rush with any sort of stunt, any sort of blitz. The Chiefs were one of the 3 or 4 teams that blitzed the least and tried the fewest stunts, and it seems like that's what they're doing again. Yeah, absolutely. Like Chris Jones is a stud. He's a star. He'll get that second contract. Like he can create some pass rush just on his own by being awesome, but like he needs help. Like you can't just rely on an interior defensive lineman to do that. Absolutely. Whoever said that, I agree.
You're making me think of this. As they say, I'm old enough to remember when Bob Sutton's first couple of Chiefs defenses were very dynamic, imaginative.
Yep.
And I really don't know if there was a philosophical change based on personnel, if there's a personnel change based on philosophy. I don't know why it's shaken out the way it has. But you wouldn't say that the last 2 years at all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I don't. Do you recall, or do you guys know? What was there a fundamental shift somewhere?
Yeah, that's part of the frustration. Like last year was the first time that it really, at least hit me. But like they did. I hate to like go to the tape or whatever. But Andy Reid a couple different times mentioned an adjustment at halftime, and I want to like watch again and kind of try to figure out what that adjustment was. The only thing I wonder if they were dropping more in coverage. But that's not necessarily a good thing, that's part of why they didn't get any pressure on Roethlisberger. They weren't really rushing anybody. I wonder if that's it. Sometimes if you drop 8, sometimes that can be effective. And that's my hunch, is that's the adjustment that Andy was talking about. But I do want to see that again.
All right, what's our next question? I was making sure our video feed was still up, so we didn't have a repeat of last week where we went for an hour and then went for another 30 minutes.
What does it mean to be 2-0? 2 road wins against teams that we think are above average, with the defense playing like it is.
Isn't that what you were writing about, or did you
a little bit?
Yeah. I'll repeat that question again for the mic'd up reasons. My brain's just shutting down right now. But what does it mean to be 2-0 with 2 wins on the road against teams that we believe are above average?
Yeah, I feel like I'm like Carmelo Knicks right now, but I'll take this one too. I think it changes a lot. Like the schedule is supposed to be front loaded, right? Toughest division game of the season last year. And look, like the Steelers may stink. Like that may be a thing. They tied the Browns, they may just not be that good, but still, Chiefs haven't won here since, is it 1986?
86.
Is that the number? That's a big deal when, and we should also like temper a little bit the defense talk with, the Steelers and Chargers are going to score a lot of points this season on everybody. Like those are 2 really, really good offenses. Yes. Hall of Fame quarterbacks. And they both just lost shootouts to the Chiefs at home. I think that, at least it changes what I think is possible.
The Steelers last week with the 6 turnovers, right? Didn't they still put? I mean, what did they put up? Point? I remember what the point
38,
was,
31.
Yeah, and a crap load of yards, despite turning it over 6 times. What'd you say?
We're after dark. You can let it fly.
Is it dark in Kansas City though?
I don't know.
Like,
What time would it be like this?
It's,
Probably not yet.
so
Will teams
crap load is the
catch up
good
with
call.
Mahomes after 4 or 5 games?
Well, teams start.
I mean, I guess they will in some ways, right? But I also think, from what I've seen of this guy now, I'm taking the vat of Kool-Aid and just pouring it all over.
Just taking a bath in
it. I finally. I mean, I'm just like, okay, because there's so many reasons that this guy is this way. So I fully assume, yeah, teams will catch up with him, and he'll also have a response, and they'll also have a response. Today is the first time I've really come to feel like this. I kept thinking there's going to be a lot of 41-38 games, and they're going to lose 6, 7, 8 of them, whatever it's going to be. I now feel like, no, they can always outscore the other team. And that's ridiculous. We're basing it on 2 games. Same team that won the first 2 games last year over the 2 teams that would play in the Super Bowl, and we're not at all a Super Bowl team in the end. So, we ought to be taking this with a grain of salt. But I really feel like this guy is everything Sam thought he'd be.
There's 2 questions about him right now to me. Is one, I want to see him like after he gets his ass kicked a little bit, like
You've been
gets
aching
knocked
for
down.
that. I know.
Yeah. Like how does he react? And the other thing is he hasn't played from behind, so he hasn't. Like that's been one of those. Is he going to push it too far when he plays from behind? Those are 2 things we.
And there are still some teams. I mean, like we talked about these first 2 being maybe the best teams, but there's still some teams. I mean, like I don't know how that game finished up with Jacksonville, but Jacksonville against the Patriots they were up big, and they still get the Patriots, which you can never count that as like an easy win or anything like that. And they're going to be going to Foxborough, so those are 2 games where you maybe will get a chance to see how he reacts to different different type of situations, some adversity.
Yeah, not just Foxborough, but New England has 3 easy games coming up. And the week before they play the Chiefs, they play on Thursday night, so they got like an extra, like half a bye week.
Dream scenario for the Chiefs, obviously.
Yeah, so I mean, going against the Bill Belichick defense will be the test for young Mr. Mahomes.
So he's got some time until that happens.
Yeah.
But anything else that are?
Let me add something to Sam and I were talking about this. Not only the Chiefs not trailed this year, but Mahomes has only been on the field with a team trailing on 1 possession. Going back to Denver last year.
That's pretty incredible. So Mahomes only trailed once. How many minutes? Like 4 minutes in his career?
It was in the first quarter.
Yeah. 1 possession. And he
So
immediately retook the lead.
yeah. So in case people didn't hear it, what Blair was saying was Mahomes has only been on the field going back to last year 1 possession where they've been down because they haven't trailed it all this season. And I mean, shoot, first time he took the field, they had the lead. And then today, the first time he takes the field, it was 0-0, and they were at the 10-yard line.
Right.
So I mean, like he hasn't had anything but success, and like things have already been rolling. It seems like every time he takes the field.
Although you would also think the experience he had at Texas Tech. I mean, they weren't winning college football playoff titles, or they weren't even getting to the Big 12 championship game. So I think he knows what it's like to lose. But he would still have standout performances in those losses. I think that Texas Tech's shortcomings were too big for him to overcome on his own.
For sure.
But I think that he did get valuable experience with that there. And now he has the weapons to be able to kind of turn the tides if the Chiefs end up getting down big.
Yeah.
So,
And speaking of that, I know you guys must have spoken to Sammy Watkins, but just a quick aside on him. This is sort of out of love for Lynn, who was just all over me with each catch Sammy had today, saying, "Take that, Vahe," because I thought the term I used in our most recent episode was, "I wonder about Sammy Watkins." I may have said he's through. No, I didn't say that, but I really was wondering about him, and
he
got a rhythm. He got a rhythm today, and I. You hate to just say, okay, well, that's that. He's all set, but I do think he's all set. I mean, I think he's right.
He needed to be primed, kind of in that way, and now.
See, you were asking.
Am I too easily swayed by one moment? By the way, it's just like
you were asking whether there was something wrong, and now you've decided he's right.
He saw you questioning, and I was like, I'm going to prove Vahe wrong this game right now.
That's what I was telling them every catch in the press box.
Starship 14. Oh no.
He took off. And now he's a solar reptilian being. So I think that we're close to wrapping up, but maybe we should go down and say, we'll do one major takeaway from today. Anything that we haven't covered that you think we should cover, anything that you didn't hear us cover that you want to make sure that we covered. And we'll start with Sam.
The story of the 2018 NFL season is going to prominently include Patrick Mahomes, one way or the other. Not the Chiefs season, but the entire league. Like, I think this is a game where it just kind of became a little bit bigger to a wider football audience. Like, he's a star.
I think to build off that, I actually saw somebody on Twitter say today that, like, I forget what the context was, but it was something like, I couldn't pick Patrick Mahomes out of a lineup, but da-da-da-da. And I just thought, that is so weird. Like, how could you not pick him out of the lineup? First of all, have you seen his hair? Yeah, right? But I think that
the
showed...
voice, the arm.
Exactly. Like, how do you not know? But I think that it kind of illustrates your point that maybe before this game, he was, to the wider NFL viewing audience, kind of not an unknown, but a little bit just kind of, that's over in Kansas City. I'm paying attention to my team. Now you kind of have to pay attention to what he's doing, and you will be able to pick him out of a lineup. Vahe, what you got?
Well, my only thought is, I think out of the four of us, I had the most optimistic preseason forecast that they'd be 10-6, and I had them losing this game. So, it certainly opens up my belief in their possibilities. And what else can you say? I mean, it's really an intriguing, fun season already. And how can you not just be riveted to this if you're a Chiefs fan?
Absolutely. Lynn, what's your takeaway?
Oh, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but I guess it's still the defense and wondering how they're going to get creative defensively to try and make this work, because we see problems, we see holes, and I'm sure they see it too. It's not one of those things where like everybody's like, oh, how come they don't see it? They see it. It's just how are they going to deal with it, or what are they going to come up with? And that's what I want to see, is how they sort of do that against other teams as you get further into the season. You got to come up with certain ways, and I'm not sure what it's going to be, but I'm interested to see it.
Absolutely, and I'm going to go with one more takeaway because I'm the narrator, so I can do that. I think that this game, and in the last game too, just show how much promise Dave Toub has as a future head coach. I think his special teams play has been, I don't want to say underrated, because when you have a punt return for a touchdown, everybody knows how good it is, but I think that it's been overshadowed a little bit just by how good the offense is, how bad the defense looks at times, but the special teams has been game-changing so far in this season, and I think that Dave Toub, obviously he knows what he's doing back there, but I think his game plan has really, really been working and has been a major benefit to the Chiefs. So, on that note, we're going to sign off here. We're going to go find some food in Pittsburgh, maybe some fries on our sandwiches, I don't know. But we'll be back later this week with another Facebook Live, back at Arrowhead, because that's where we are on Wednesdays. And then we'll be back at Arrowhead again on Sunday for the Chiefs home game, where they enter 2-0 on the season. So for the Chiefs beat, for the Kansas City Star, I'm Brooke Pryor. You can follow all of us along on Twitter, on Facebook, on the Kansas City Star website, in your paper every morning, and we'll catch up with you later.